the Spa 6 Hours is the final major test before the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And this test will be especially important for Ferrari, because back in the 1960s, Ferrari and Le Mans were synonymous. But after successive losses to Ford, then Porsche, and finally the French favorite Matra, Ferrari left the sport. But this year, in 2023, Ferrari will be attempting to make its long-awaited return to the top step of the overall podium. However, despite flashes of brilliance this season, Ferrari has gotten off to a mixed start. They've been able to get ahead of their fellow hypercar newcomers at Porsche and Cadillac, but haven't quite been able to catch up to the dominant Toyota Gazoo Racing. But we can jump on board with Antonio Giovinazzi in the number 51 car as he warms his tires before the start of this race. We can see by looking on the right side of the screen that he is starting on wet tires on this damp track. But Mike Conway in the number 7 Toyota up front has chosen dry tires to start on. Ferrari will have the pace advantage early on in this race, but as the race goes on, that advantage will shift to Toyota because Ferrari will have to pit earlier to get off these wet tires. So to make this strategy work, Ferrari has to push the pace early on and build a huge gap to the number 7 and 8 Toyotas behind. And as they take a green flag, the Ferrari is hard on the power, and he's already looking up the inside of this number 7 Toyota, driven by Mike Conway. He brakes late into the Lost Source hairpin and is able to make it through on the number 7 Toyota, already into first place after starting third on the grid. But he has to press the advantage early on, because every lap that goes by, the track will dry out more and more, and the advantage will shift more and more in Toyota's favor. And as he comes over Radion, Mike Conway gets a huge slide, and that Toyota has to come out of the throttle, and that allows the brand new 38 gold Jota Porsche to flash by. And into Lecombe, there is just absolutely no grip aboard that number 7 Toyota, and one of the Peugeots is going to flash by as well. The Toyota right now is on the wrong tires, and Ferrari need to press their advantage as much as they can. But we can see on the straightaway, Giovinazzi moves to the left side of the circuit, the damper part of the track, to help cool off his wet tires. This is not a good sign for Ferrari. Already just half a lap into the race, Giovinazzi is concerned that these wet tires are overheating. As if that wasn't already bad enough, the pace car is going to come out and slow down the entire field. Ferrari did have the pace advantage over Toyota, but now that there's a safety car, that entire advantage is going to be nullified. And as they get ready to go back to green, we're going to see the entire field has now bunched up behind the numbers 50 and 51 Ferraris. But as the race goes green and Giovinazzi hits the throttle one more time, the goal remains the same as the previous stint, to build as big a gap as he can to the number 7 Toyota. As we jump back aboard the number 7 Toyota of Mike Conway, he is all over the back of this Peugeot as they come out of Stavelot and is able to easily find his way by under acceleration. These dry tires are coming to Mike Conway, and he's going to make another move on the 38 Jota Porsche. And then, as he exits Lecombe and heads into Ravage, he is going to dive up the inside of that number 2 Cadillac, and now we'll begin to chase down the 2 Ferraris ahead. As they head into Pouhon, this Toyota is closing in rapidly on the 2 Ferraris in front. We can see as they go through Pouhon, that 50 car ahead of Nicholas Nielsen just has no grip left in the tires. He's going to look to defend on the number 7 Toyota, but there is no chance, and Mike Conway sails past into second place. The crossover has already come and passed. These dry tires are now so much faster than the wets. Antonio Giovinazzi is pushing as hard as he can as he goes wide of that apex to keep up the minimum speed through the corners, but there is just no grip left in his wet tires. They are completely overheated as Mike Conway gets a better run coming out of Stavelot, looks to make a pass along the straight but gets squeezed by Antonio Giovinazzi, barely avoiding contact. Giovinazzi is able to hold his 51 ahead for one more corner, but it's just a matter of time before Conway makes his way past. Now going to the bus stop, Conway's going to go wide into the second element, look for the cutback on Giovinazzi, gets hard on the power, and is through back into the lead of the race, with Giovinazzi struggling on his wet tires and still needing to make a pit stop to get onto his dries. You can see Mike Conway is wide going through Lasor's hairpin. Giovinazzi is able to keep that tighter line, but Conway is already gone. And we're going to flash ahead to the end of the lap, where Giovinazzi has lost a further 2 positions down into 4th place, but is finally going to pit for some dry tires. Comes into his pit box, nails his marks, and we can look to the right side and see those steaming wet tires are completely destroyed. And his team is going to bolt on a fresh set of slick tires. But despite Giovinazzi being on these brand new slicks, it is not going to be smooth sailing for him. And that is because the WEC has disallowed tire warmers for this season. So, with the temperatures being so cold and the track being so damp still, he has absolutely no grip as he goes out on track. We're going to see he's barely crawling along the Kemmel straight. Can't even get to full throttle. As he goes into Ravage, we can see how early he's braking. It looks like he's behind a safety car, but no, this is him pushing as hard as he can. We can look to the right side and see a GT Porsche flashes by and a Peugeot as well. There is just no grip in this hypercar, and he's literally slower than the GT cars. Now as he comes out of Stavolo, he gets hard on the power and has a massive, massive tank slapper as he gets onto the straight. Another GT Porsche and the Cadillac are going to both flash by. This is really painful for Antonio Giovinazzi. And what's going to make it especially painful is the number 7 Toyota is now catching up and is looking to put this 51 car a lap down as they go through Lecombe. That Ferrari, though, has a big moment through the left-hander in Lecombe. Just has absolutely no grip on those freezing cold tires, and Mike Conway is going to flash through, putting Giovinazzi a lap down just 7 minutes after he was leading the race. We're going to flash ahead to the end of Giovinazzi's double stint on these slick tires, though, where he was finally able to get them up to temperature and now finds himself in 4th position. But unfortunately, the team is going to be dealt another stroke of bad luck because they suffered a broken right wheel during this full course yellow and will have to make an emergency pit stop to change the tire. This means they'll pit once to change that tire and then again on the next lap to replace all of the tires, fill the car up with fuel, and switch over from Giovinazzi to Alessandro Pierguidi. So, as Pierguidi pulls away from his pit box, he's going to find himself back in 10th place and looking once again to fight his way forward through the field. But before he worries about that, he first has to worry about these freezing cold tires as he nearly sends the car off the track coming out of the pits. But he is able to get these tires up to temperature more quickly than his teammate and is already chasing down the pale blue Glickenhaus, which is in 9th place. Coming into Piff Paff, he is now fully all over the rear of this Glickenhaus, which is on cold tires, and looks to the inside, but there is no room there. Now coming through the left-hander, all over the rear of this Glickenhaus, looks to the inside and sends it late on the brakes, finding his way up into 9th place and helping to revive and resuscitate the 51's hopes at a decent result this race. The next car on his list is the number 38 Jota car, which is on its first lap out of the pits, again on freezing cold tires, proving that it's not just Ferrari that struggles with this. Coming through Blanchimont, that 38 just has no grip, and Pierguidi flashes by. Now, setting his sights fully on this Peugeot ahead, coming into the bus stop, that Peugeot is slow through the mid-corner and just cannot get on the power coming out of the left-hander. That is one of the big issues of the Peugeot. It has these smaller rear wheels and just doesn't seem to have the grip coming out of the corners that the other cars do. And fortunately, the 51 Ferrari will get its first bout of good luck, and a full course yellow, and then a safety car will come out and bunch up the field, allowing it to catch up to the number 2 Cadillac, which is now directly ahead, as well as the 5 Porsche. And as the green flies, this 51 Ferrari is hard on the power and now chasing down this number 2 Cadillac. And we can see here there's actually a line of traffic It's actually the number 7 Toyota, which is 1 lap ahead of the number 5 Porsche behind, the number 2 Cadillac in front, and the 51 Ferrari as Pierre Guidi goes wide through Blanchimont as they brake hard into the bus stop. We can see they're now stuck behind Jose Maria Lopez and that number 7 Toyota. That number 5 Porsche is looking for any way past to try to build a gap between the 2 Cadillac and this 51 Ferrari behind. But he is late on the brakes, locks up, and is wide, and it allows Alex Lynn to swing through into 4th place as they head into Eau Rouge. Dane Cameron's not giving up though, and is looking to get in the draft, but there's just nowhere to go before they enter Eau Rouge. He has to back out of it, dabs the brakes as they go up the hill, and then over Radeon. That's going to give the 51 a run, and Pierre Guidi makes it around the outside of the 5 Penske Porsche, up into 5th position, now chasing down the number 2 Cadillac, which is equally trying to get past this Toyota, which is just holding him up on its worn tires. As they come out of the bus stop, Alex Lynn's going to be hard on the power, using all of the road on the exit, trying anything he can to get past Jose Maria Lopez. He's going to look to the inside on this Toyota as they head into Los Toros hairpin, but Jose Maria Lopez holds it around the outside, but Alex Lynn gets a better run through the apex, is a nose ahead by the exit, but the Toyota is better on the acceleration than that number 2 Cadillac and is going to sneak ahead. The Cadillac has to dab the brakes just as the Porsche did the lap before. Pierre Guidi is all over the curb on the left-hand side. The curb on the right-hand side is now safely in the draft of this number 2 Cadillac, darts to the left-hand side and sails past the number 2 Cadillac, now chasing down this number 7 Toyota to get the number 51 car back onto the lead lap. And as they come through Stavelot, Pierre Guidi is all over the back of this Toyota and gets a better exit onto the straightaway. Jose Maria Lopez is going to make sure he does not look up the inside as they head into Blanchimont. The Ferrari once again suffers a lot of understeer through Blanchimont, but is all over the back of this number 7 Toyota, trying to get back on the lead lap. The number 7 Toyota dives into pit lane though, leaving the number 51 Ferrari with the beautiful sight of an open track. We're going to flash ahead to the number 50 sister car, and I want you to listen as he's exiting the pits. Oh, suffers a massive tank slapper, and then hits the wall, taking the number 50 car that was in 3rd place out of the race. It's not only heartbreak for the number 50 car, it's also another bout of bad news for the 51, because they're going to have to do another double pit stop under this full course yellow. That's going to place them behind the number 5 Porsche and the number 2 Cadillac as Alessandro Pierre Guidi jumps out of the car and James Collado jumps in. Once again, the task is very simple for Collado. He has 2 cars to pass to bring Ferrari back onto the podium. Once again, though, exiting the pits is the most crucial part of his entire race. Oh, just squirming as he tries to get on the power. No grip on these freezing cold tires. But he's able to get them up to temperature more quickly, and we can see he's already chasing down the number 2 Cadillac, which is dealing with this LMP2 prototype traffic. These LMP2 cars are actually relatively similar paced to the Hypercars, so it's not so easy for them to get past these lower class cars. Richard Westbrook and the Cadillac is going to look to make it past this LMP2 before they get to La Source to try to build a gap to Collado and the Ferrari behind. But as he gets through the hairpin, he just is not able to get the run. Those LMP2 cars are just as quick through the corners as the Hypercars, and sometimes even a little bit quicker. And as they go into Eau Rouge, he's going to look to make a pass on the LMP2, which does not yield. Westbrook has to hit the brakes, loses all momentum as he goes over Radeon, and that allows Collado and the 51 to fly past, bringing the Ferrari back into 4th place. It has been a dismal race for this 51 crew, but finally a glimmer of hope as with 1 minute and 43 seconds left, he can finally see this number 5 Porsche ahead and is gaining time and distance in every corner as this Porsche is struggling on old tires at the end of the race. As they head into the final chicane, any gap that Fred Makovecki had in that Porsche is gone. And as they head onto the final lap, James Calado just needs to pass this one car to get himself and the 51 crew onto the podium. As they head into the Los Oros hairpin, Fred Makovicky is wide, and the rear end slides as he tries to get hard on the power, coming out of the first corner and heading into Eau Rouge. The Ferrari has the run on the Porsche. And through Eau Rouge, Makovicky is using every inch of track as it goes over Raidillon, but the Ferrari carries more speed through the mid-corner and is in the draft of the number 5 Porsche ahead. Makovicky defends to the inside, James Calado pops to the outside and sends it late on the brake into Lecombe to take third position and to take a podium for Ferrari, as we see the Porsche behind is wriggling around as the rear tires are screaming for grip. But despite this great finish for Ferrari, the story of the race, again, is domination for Toyota. And despite the fantastic efforts from Calado, Pierre Guidi, and Giovinazzi to salvage a result for this 51 crew, the Ferrari team find themselves heading into Le Mans, still wondering if they can find what it takes to match the dominant and near-perfect Toyota Gazoo Racing. If you made it this far, I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all of your love, all of your support. It really means a lot to me. Even if I'm not able to respond to every message, I promise I read all of them, and they all make me smile. So thank you guys so much for all your love and support. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys are as amped up for Le Mans as I am. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.